Representatives Jerry Conley and Darrell Issa want to consolidate the Chief Information Officer, or CIO, role across the federal workplace. The idea to reduce each agency to one CIO has been discussed for almost a decade. Karen Evans is at KE&T Partners. She's former Chief Information Officer for the Department of Energy and former Vice Chair of the Federal Chief Information Officers Council. Alan Balutis is former Senior Director and Distinguished Fellow at Cisco Systems. He was the first CIO at the Commerce Department. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen, is this a good idea or a bad idea to consolidate the CIA role? And why is this coming up again?
Well, I think it comes up periodically, especially with the things that are happening in cybersecurity right now. But I do think it's a good idea because the departmental CIO is actually the one that's held accountable by Congress and also to the secretary.
And Alan, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Good idea?
I think it's a good idea, but I don't think it's the pivotal idea. I don't think it's the critical path issue that really needs to be addressed.
What is the critical path issue?
Well, the CIO position was created in government in the Information Technology Management Reform Act of 1996, commonly referred to as the Planer-Cohen Act. That's 25 years ago. That legislation set up CIOs, it defined their roles, responsibilities, and authorities. It outlined the preferred reporting relationship to the secretary and deputy secretary. As you look across government today, there's probably only 2 or 3 departments or agencies that you could say have fully implemented that legislation properly. And really, in spite of an array of circulars, bulletins, letters from the Office of Management and Budget, follow-up legislation from the Congress, we really haven't established a CIO position in the 24 CFO Act agencies that has the proper roles and responsibilities. Until we do that, I think this is just a nice to have type of thing. But if legislation were properly implemented across government, I think that would put us on the critical path to solve all these other issues.
Karen, do you agree with that? Is it a matter of roles and responsibilities? What are you seeing as the current problems of having multiple CIOs at one agency?
So I've had the opportunity to serve in multiple roles. And I don't necessarily agree with Alan as the way the reporting structure is, because it really has a lot to do with the skill set of the individual and then how the secretary or the head of the agency really wants to manage the function and how risk is managed within a department or an agency. So we have a lot of legislation. There's a lot of roles defined, but what happens is one person is being held accountable, and then that's not perpetuating through the rest of the department and agency, and they need to have that backing from the senior leadership. So in one way, I'm agreeing with that, but I don't think it needs to have more or a direct responsibility because we have some of these undersecretary roles. And it really then allows that CXO role to really happen and have that integration across the department.
You mentioned the proper skill sets. Karen, what is the proper skill set for this one singular CIO? And is that practical to have all those skills wrapped into one person?
Well, it's not the one person. The one person has to have the ability to hire people, know what their own strengths are, and then build that team so that they can provide that leadership for the program across the components and then up to senior leadership.
Alan, there are some agencies like USDA that have consolidated and have only one CIO. Do we have any lessons learned? Are they better or worse off? What are your thoughts on that?
I think there are two or three. I think the others that have done the same thing are the Department of Interior and the Department of Veterans Affairs. And I don't think anybody who's looked at this issue has seen any relationship or any direct results of consolidating that position. I mean, these are all kind of playing with names. I mean, the agencies still have a senior IT person, whether that's a CTO, a chief digital officer. We keep slicing the bologna thinner and thinner in terms of dividing up the responsibilities in the IT realm. And again, I think one can find a moderate correlation between having a single CIO and the enhanced management and oversight that's necessary to guide and direct IT. But again, it's not a direct correlation. It's not a causative factor. And I don't think one can clearly demonstrate that VA, Interior, or USDA are any better or worse off because of that action.
Alan and Karen, thanks so much for being on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.